This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Hey, everybody. It is the After Party Live on a Waterfall Wednesday. A lot going on. We didn't even have time to save the planet today, but we'll have time tomorrow on the Mark Thompson Show to do that. Thank you for being here. Thanks for your patience. And I see people popping in, popping out, and everyone's saying hello to each other. Squire says, man from the West 420 says squires are cuter than rats. You mean squirrels? Yeah, squirrels. That's what you meant. Squirrels are cuter than rats. I was told yesterday that they are not. My son says, or my nephew said, I forget which one I was talking to at the time, said they're just squirrels with tails. I don't know. I have a different feeling about rats than squirrels. Rats kind of freak me out. I know other people in the chat. Heather says, rats are good. I don't want to show you the picture of this dead rat because, I mean, who wants to see a picture of a dead animal in a bag? Yucko, right? But I will get started with this mega rat story. And so I have this picture of this giant rat to show you. This is not the same rat, but it's big like the rat they found. It's called, or they're calling it, the mega rat. It's a massive 22-inch rat that was removed from a home in England, and it was spotted by the pest control guy who was called out. The homeowners knew they had a big rat problem. And so out comes the pest guy to North Yorkshire, England, and finds this rat that measures more than 22 inches from the tippy tip of its nose to the tip of its tail. Crazy. So they posted this picture on social media of this massive mega rat dead in a bag, and it had been removed from this home by in Eston in the UK by pest control workers. They say this rat at 22 inches long is the size of a small cat. Yikes. They said the discovery is a highlight of the worsening problems of rodent infestation in this area. So now city leaders are saying, we have a problem in this town, as the local counselors, the local administration, they say we're taking it very seriously. That people are working really hard, but we need all around the borough, all around the neighborhood, we need people to help. They are calling for a full vermin survey and treatment plan. They're increasing the funding for rodent elimination. They've got a partnership they're setting up between the authorities, the pest control specialists, the property owners. They say the longer it's ignored, the worse it will get. We need action, not just advice, because if they don't take care of this problem, they think the rats in this town are just going to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And one of the things they say that has led to this issue is overflowing, they call it rubbish, overflowing garbage cans. The rats have access to all of this food. It's this, and so without limitations on their eating, the rats get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you have these massive rats. And it's not these little creatures running around your house. This is the size of a house cat. The longer the problem is ignored, they say, the worse it will get. They have a dedicated pest control officer who works on city-owned land. And they will offer advice to homeowners when it's needed and when people ask for it. But they say a proper vermin control strategy. We've seen this in other cities like New York, where they have remember they had a rat czar? Yeah. They're upset because this rat is making these national headlines now. They posted this giant mega rat on social media, dead in a bag. And the counselors there say what started with 100 comments on a social media post has grown to nearly 1,000 on the Teesside Live, which Teesside is the name of the little town. And it's now being picked up by local Yorkshire, Birmingham, London, and national press. They say this never should have been allowed to get this bad, this problem. There is plenty of blame for this to go around, but now they need an urgent action plan. And they say it is believed to be the largest rat ever caught in the UK. There was a 21-incher that was caught in 2018 in a town called Bournemouth. But this one, 22 inches, beats that. The normal size for a rat in the UK, about 11 inches. So this mega rat is double the normal size. I don't want to come upon that in my house. I really do not. At first, I thought, did they mean it was a nutria? Because nutria are supposed to be the largest rodent, right? And perhaps maybe you could mistake a nutria for a rat. I don't know. They're kind of different looking. Nutria kind of have these whiskery things. The nutria are supposed to be, and they're now in parts of, I think, Central California, they're supposed to be the biggest rodent. But now with these rats that are mega rats, I don't know what's worse, seeing a nutria or seeing a mega rat. I'm gonna go with the mega rat. I'll take a mega rat over this is a nutria. He's a big guy too. Nutria, mega rat. I mean, even a giant rat would still behave like a rat, right? I don't know. That's a big boy, I'll tell you. You don't want to walk in and see that sitting on your kitchen counter or see that big fatty try to shove itself, wedge. Don't they flatten themselves out so they can fit in all the nooks and crannies? Imagine that guy trying to wedge his big butt under your stove or your refrigerator. I'm telling you, no thank you. Mm-mm. SJ Lola says squirrels are rats with good PR. Ricky calls him a chonk. Yep. Oh no. Megaraticus. He is huge. 22 inches. I know. Jokes to be made there, but come on. Radiation mutants? I don't think we're eating it, Donald. Rat steaks, anyone? No, absolutely not. Ricky just inherited a Prius eaten by rats. I have a friend that had a motorhome that they parked at their ranch, and because of the where it was, the rats got into it and they chewed through all the wiring and the cords. Yeah, that can be a real problem. Tammy says, why doesn't Florida just send some pythons over to the UK? Problem solved. Rats, the pythons eat the rats. Everybody's happy. Except I don't know if they want the pythons over there either. Nope. No, thank you. It's funny that you mentioned movies. You're mentioning Willard. When I saw that rat, I thought of the Charlotte's Web, the book and the movie, where the spider creates this web that says that's some pig. Yeah, that's some rat. That was my first thought. Liz not a fan of rats. Some people love the rats. Steroid rat, says Calvin. Heather thinks the nutria are cuter. Do you? Perhaps it's just the picture I selected. I think this nutria looks really scary. I would not want to come into contact with that. Look at the teeth on that thing. Nope. No. I think rats have big teeth too. I don't know. The nutria look like beavers, says Eileen. Does that rat like pizza? Whatever they throw away in the UK, it's a rat grower. Giant being the main issue. Even a normal size rat is a no for me. No, thank you. Mindy says, might those rats be friendly if raised from a baby? Perhaps. I know people keep rats as pets. I don't know. They think this ratzilla, as Luis calls it, is about 3 years old. That's kind of fits in with the lifespan of these rats. And they think how long it might take a rat to get this big, 22 inches. So they think this rat might be about 3 years old. Yikes. No, that's a huge rat. A huge for a rat CBD. No. Karen says, oh my God, we had issues with them at work and the cafe. What's up with them? Oh, the rats? Yeah, I know. Oh, I thought nutria was the Spanish word for beaver. I didn't know they were different species. Yeah, they are different species. I believe they're different. Beavers and nutria, totally different. There's the nutria. Aren't beavers are kind of cute. Now I have to look up a beaver picture. I maybe I'm being animal centric, animal discriminatory. I see why you would think that, but beavers I think might be a little cuter. Yeah. And beavers have that tail and they're helpful, right? I don't think nutria maybe nutria eats something that would make it helpful to people and habitats. I haven't done a lot of nutria research, but the beavers, they will introduce them to areas and they'll do work that would have cost humans so much money to, dam up a waterway or something like this. And the beavers just come in and it's done. Done, done, done. So I think beavers are a little cuter. And granted, this picture of a beaver is made to look cute, whereas I don't know if the nutria picture was made to look cute. But here's this beaver picture. So you have the nutria that you're looking at here, which I think with the big teeth being bared is a little, sketchy. This beaver almost looks like it's smiling. So keep that into perspective, but that's a beaver. I think beavers are a little cuter than that. No. Yeah, see it's big tail, big wide tail. So they're all different species. But you know what? They're all slurming into one because they're all about the same size. Big, brown, furry rodents. I don't think beavers are rodents though, but nutria. I don't know. All right. So there's our rat story. Meanwhile, I have another story for you. And this one is about this Australian lizard that mutated in order to avoid snake venom. It's a pretty fascinating story. There he is. He's kind of shiny and cool looking. I mean, not that I'd want to hold it, but I can appreciate the beauty of this animal and the beauty of how its body changed in order to survive as well. Toxicologists are checking out this Australian skink that is linked to aggressive honey badgers or swift mongooses. But there are some researchers at the University of Queensland say there's a similarity that can be found at a biomolecular level that could actually also help in the development of new and more potent snake venoms. In Australia, snakes, they're everywhere. The toxic ones, there are more than 100 venomous snake species in Australia. Some of them are the world's deadliest snakes. And for most creatures, a bite from one of these toxic, poisonous snakes can be fatal if you don't get medical treatment right away. And for so long, we didn't stand a chance against these snakes, and especially a smaller creature like this, done for, right? But they have changed. After generations of biological refinement, some of these species are now evolutionarily equipped to evade snakes. They've gotten more agile, they have better hearing, they have better vision. Over time, they have needed it. So the ones that had better vision and hearing and could move faster were the ones that survived. And those traits have been bred into these lizards. In addition, Australia's skink has some specific genetic mutations as well, in the form of minuscule changes to a critical muscle component in one of its receptors. It's called the nicotinic acetylcholine receptor. What does it do? It's normally the target of neurotoxins. And this mutation allows this receptor allows the snake venom to bind to it and block nerve muscle communication, which then causes rapid paralysis and death. But researchers say they have found that the skink's mutation is identical to the one that protects honey badgers and mongooses from cobra venom. Remarkable to see the same resistance in a lizard and a mammal. The researchers say evolution keeps hitting the molecular bullseye. So they documented 25 times in which a skink had developed this natural, what they call a counterpunch, at the same binding site that blocks the snake venom from doing its job. One of the mutations included an instance that releases sugar molecules to physically impede the toxins. Then there's a genetic change that substitutes a protein building block affected by venoms. And so they looked into this and they were trying to use synthetic peptides and receptor models to mimic a snake bite. And what the researchers say is the data was really clear in this case that some of the modified receptors didn't respond at all. But one tiny change in a protein can mean the difference between life and death for these animals when they're facing a venomous predator like this. So they're now trying to understand this evolutionary neutralization against snake venom, and will it help with antivenoms and other therapeutic treatments and discoveries? Find the whole study in the International Journal of Molecular Sciences. Fascinating how creatures can evolve to better survive. Speaking of lizards, we have been following this case of the lizard, and it's a really quick little video, but I wanted to show it to you anyway. Remember Goose the water monitor, who had been on the run in Connecticut and Massachusetts after jumping out of a window, a second-story window, and he was on the run. He was captured. Well, now the folks that were able to capture him have posted a video, and here's what it looks like. Look how fast they have to be with their little grabbers. Did they get him? Yes, they did. And they pull him out of the hole, and Goose is captured and put into a basket quickly, and there you go. But that's how very fast they had to be. So there he is. He sticks his head out. Uh-oh, Goose, this is your undoing. And boom. Whoever's at the end of that is super talented with that piece of equipment. And they got him. And away he goes. And now Goose is going to a place where reptiles are supposed to be. Goose is safe and happy and will be well cared for. So, we mentioned this on the Mark Thompson show, and I really wanted to talk a little bit more in depth about it because we didn't have time to earlier. We're going nuclear on the moon. Does anyone see a problem with this? Is anyone like, wait a minute? This is how you know in sci-fi movies where they have, in the future you look up at the moon and there's big chunks and it's closer to Earth and the moon's all kinds of jacked up and you're thinking, what did we do to the moon? Well, thus it begins, because apparently we're going to put a nuclear reactor on the moon. Yeah. This is Sean Duffy, the NASA administrator and Secretary of Transportation, the NASA acting administrator, I should say. NASA, they say, already has plans to put a small nuclear reactor on the moon, but the directive by Duffy would create a timeline, even though NASA took some heavy budget cuts. So, Duffy says this is about winning the second space race, or other NASA officials say it's about winning the second space race. So Duffy issues this directive, said he wants to replace the International Space Station more quickly than already planned by NASA. Okay, great. It's aging. We probably need to do that for scientific reasons. We want to keep our International Space Station together. But how wise is it to plan to build another one when you're cutting the budget and your staff members? Mm, I mean, if you're going to build a new international space station, wouldn't you think don't fire your people with Doge cuts and don't cut your funding? Just a thought. But okay, wants to replace the International Space Station. They say that putting a nuclear reactor on the moon and replacing the International Space Station might help the United States reach Mars sooner. China is also trying to get to Mars, so apparently we have to beat them in doing that. The administration of you know who proposed a 2026 budget that would actually increase funds for human spaceflight, but cuts budgets for other programs, including cut it by 50% for most science based missions. So Duffy says in building this nuclear reactor on the moon, he wants to solicit industry proposals within the next 60 days for a 100 kilowatt reactor to be launched by 2030. They're already working on a 40 kilowatt reactor for the moon, ready for launch sometime in the 2030s, but he wants it done faster. See, this is the thing. I get that you want to win the so called second space race, but maybe we should take our time before we F up the moon. I mean, hey, if a little time and thought put into this will prevent something rather than putting a rush order on it, you know? Yeah. The 100 kilowatt reactor is the size needed to power about 80 households in the United States. They're working on a 40 kilowatt reactor. He wants a 100 kilowatt reactor launched by 2030. It calls for the appointment of a NASA official to oversee this project within 30 days. Now, China also plans to land its first astronaut on the moon in 2030. So maybe that's why they want to get this done in this timeline. I don't know. Here's what Duffy said in the directive. To properly advance this critical technology to be able to support a future lunar economy, high power energy generation on Mars, and strengthen our national security in space, it is imperative that the agency move quickly. The first country, he said, to have a reactor could declare a keep out zone, which would significantly inhibit the United States. They cite a joint plan between Russia and China. So they're worried that Russia and China are in cahoots to do something like this. So we have to beat them to it. Tea break. My apologies. You know, I don't know. I get that the International Space Station is old and leaky, and I could get behind plans to replace that. I don't know why we need a nuclear reactor on the moon right now. But at least two companies will get a contract within 6 months of the request for the proposals. And if this new station isn't in space by 2030, only China will have a permanently crewed space station in orbit. That's for the replacement of the International Space Station. They say a nuclear reactor would be useful for long stays on the moon, but Duffy and NASA haven't made it clear what this nuclear reactor would power. How do you protect that? You put it on the moon. Do you have to have someone there on the moon 24/7 then? How do you know some other country isn't going to land and steal nuclear materials? We wouldn't be there to stop it. How is this all going to work? Has anyone really thought this through? I have concerns. Anyway, that's what that's about. And yeah, I don't know. I'm going to the chat. Do you think this is a good idea? And do you feel like maybe I'm being a little too reactive on this one? Melophidian, I don't think a lunar nuclear reactor is ready for prime time. Precisely, and I don't think we should rush it. Karen D, more waste of money. Elon is behind this. What peace? We need healthcare and science to be funded, and this is a joke money for his buddy. Yeah. Tammy says on Earth, they do need a water source for cooling. Mindy says, I so dislike the vision for the moon, men, and their need for domination. Doug just wants to let Trump do the calculations. No, I think that would be That would be a mistake. Teacher Lori, why weird? If we want habitable places on the moon, won't we need power? Can use solar, but not on some parts. Aside from Mars, if we plan to have people ever stay on the moon, we need power. So I know we want to colonize the moon. Remember, we've done stories. We've looked at the moon caves that they wanted turned into some type of shelter, and they're looking for different materials that would hold up on the moon. The pressing together that we wouldn't have to carry up there. The pressing of lunar dust into bricks. We've talked about all that before, and so I know that you're right. And also, a nuclear reactor on the moon seems fraught with problems. And since we don't have people on the moon yet or anything built there yet, perhaps maybe we're jumping the gun. I don't know. These are my thoughts. But trust me, I want to hear yours too. So, all right. And we got a little just stay away from the dark side and use solar. Can that be it? Yeah. Moon Chernobyl. Not a good idea, says Man from the West. It is concerning. I don't know. We better really know what we're doing. To happier news now, because I know we don't usually talk politics on this show, and it was just a touch political, wasn't it? I didn't mean for it to be. So let's talk about this massive sunflower. There's a guy up on a ladder. You can see him. And look at that sunflower. He can't even reach the tippy top of it. This is in Indiana, where this man's giant sunflower plant is approaching a world record, and it is still growing, and it is within a foot of breaking a Guinness World Record. This is in Fort Wayne, Indiana. This man's name is Alex. His sunflower surpassed the United States record last week when it reached 26 feet 8 inches tall. That's almost a 27-footer he's got there. And the flower is still growing. The record was grown in Germany. It's a sunflower that hit 30 feet 1 inch. That's the tallest sunflower in the world. Now the whole city of Fort Wayne is getting behind Alex's effort to crash that record. They're giving him a cherry picker to help protect the flower, which he has named Clover. He says, I'm really proud. He's from Ukraine originally, came here in 1991, escaped Chernobyl, came here and started living in Fort Wayne. And Alex says, it's been fantastic here. We just have so much support right now. He said, it's really, truly, they support us. And we're like, thank you. And we'd like to give something back. So let's bring this record back to the United States. So again, 26 feet, 8 inches. Just a little bit more, and it could be the tallest in the world. So let's hope that sunflower keeps on growing, because that would be a cool thing for him. It is time for the lotto of the day. In this particular instance, we have another lucky winner. This North Carolina woman won a $2 million lottery prize just 1 month after she hit a $250,000 win. Someone upstairs wants her to have a lot of money. The North Carolina Education Lottery said this lady, Jennifer from Willow Spring, stopped at the Hilltop store, bought a $20 100 times the cash scratch-off ticket, and she got a $250,000 prize. So that was nice. And then she previously visited the lottery headquarters in June to take the winnings. The next one she gets, she buys another ticket, and she wins a cash second chance drawing and gets a $2 million prize. She chooses to take a $1.2 million lump sum and goes home with, after taxes, $861,000 after the tax withholdings. So a $2 million ticket winner gets you $861,000 in this case. Hey, I'm not knocking it. That's pretty good. Add it to her 250 and she's got almost $1 million. She didn't say what she plans to do with it. Check out this fish. This is a one weird looking fish. It's a rendering of what this googly eyed, cartoonish looking Norse lapsus would look like. The fossil was found. They say this creature had the heart of a shark and the skin of a lamprey eel. Uh, they've used the advanced imaging techniques to reconstruct this extinct fish. They tried to reconstruct its heart, brain, and fins from a very intricately detailed fingernail sized fossil fragment. And the results ended up with this googly eyed, tadpole looking, horseshoe crab looking thing. But the researchers say this creature could help rewrite one of the earliest chapters in animal evolution. They published their study August 6th in the journal Nature. We know that the first fish arrived on Earth about a 500,000,000 years ago, around the seafloor where they could suck up food. And then they evolved jaws and teeth and ascended higher into the water as those things happened. By about 400 million years ago, fish with jaws were dominating the ocean. Not jaws like sharks, but some of them, right? And from there, evolution introduced limbed vertebrates, land dwelling creatures, eventually us. While this jaws first, then limbs hypothesis uh, is widely thought to be true, there are still some issues with it. A big data gap in this transformation, according to biologists with the University of Chicago. They say they've been missing snapshots from the fossil record that would help them order the key events to reconstruct the pattern and the direction of the evolutionary changes that were made. But now they have it in this fish. And what's interesting is they've known about this fossil since a 1969 expedition in Norway. They found thousands of fossils embedded in sandstone rocks during this exhibition, but it took another 40 years before they could dedicate enough time to sort through everything they found there. And while they were splitting all this sandstone, they were surprised to find this perfectly preserved half-inch long Norse lapsus cranium that they think is between 410 to 407 million years old. They took it, they sent it to Switzerland to an institute where X-ray microtomography was used to scan this specimen layer by layer, and what the results showed, stunning. After thousands of hours of digital reconstruction, these 3D scans depicted tissue-thin bones encasing organs, musculature preserved in the unprecedented detail, and with the exquisite digital atlas, they say now they know Norse lapsus in greater anatomical detail than many of the fishes that are alive today. It did not have jaws, but it did have some features that only were believed to have existed in jawed species until now. It had a very powerful heart, widened vessels facilitating greater blood flow. So the heart of a shark, they say, under the skin of a lamprey. The sensory organs on the Norse lapsus, so impressive. 7 small muscles controlled its eyeballs, one more than humans have. Its inner ears, comparatively gigantic, be the size of an avocado. Its heart would be as large as a cantaloupe. The evolutionary advantage is not all internal. It swam using angled paddle-like fins that were located behind its gills. You can see those paddles in the reconstruction there. Not to use prey, but possibly to evade predators who were evolving their jaws and able to bite hard. The interplay, they think, between these species led to an explosion in oceanic diversity. When jaws, the jaws of other creatures, evolved against this background, it brought a pivotal combination of sensory, swimming, and feeding systems, eventually leading to the extraordinary variety and abundance of fishes. So, very interesting. They also say there was a nerve linked to its shoulder, separate from the nerves reaching its gills. And so they theorize that the shoulders seen in four-limbed vertebrates evolved as a new structure connected to the neck, which separated the torso from the head. And most early jawless fishes had torsos leading continuously to the head. So some differences and some things they're figuring out about this Norse lapsus. I find it fascinating. If we don't get to it, we never will. It is Waterfall Wednesday, and we have to take a relaxing moment. Yeah, they're putting a nuclear reactor on the moon, but it's okay. We have waterfalls here on Earth, and we're taking a relaxing trip to Fiji, where our first waterfall is called the Bayasevu Waterfall. They have a lot of horseback riders going by this waterfall. They say it's really, really relaxing, that you go on a horseback tour, you ride through the puddles and the ponds and the streams, and then you get to this beautiful waterfall. It's about $25 to go on this kind of tour, and it includes a kava ceremony and a guided walk by local villagers to this waterfall. The villagers really knowledgeable, and it's supposed to be a really fun time. So again, this is the Biao Sevu waterfall, and this is listed as one of the best waterfalls in Fiji. And the next one is called the Tavoro waterfalls. This is on Tavanui Island in Fiji, and here is a picture of the Tavoro coming over the rocks. Looks beautiful. This is one where they say you should pack a lunch and head over to see this waterfall. Supposed to be absolutely beautiful. And people say it is definitely worth it. Definitely worth seeing. So beautiful. Usually great weather for hiking. You have to wear some good walking shoes, pack a lunch, because there's a lot of places to picnic before you reach this waterfall, and bring your swimsuit, because the top, most, and the bottom waterfalls are swimmable. The whole thing takes about 3 to 4 hours to walk through and get to. You can hire a guide to be safe as well. If you have mobility impairments, this is not going to be the place, because there's a significant number of stairs and some slippery dirt paths. But so beautiful, that Tavoro waterfall in the Fiji area. The third waterfall on the list is called the Nakawaga waterfall. It's a big hike. There's a giant boulder, though, in this area where this waterfall is viewable. It's the perfect vantage point to check it out. Here it is. I have it for you. This is the Nakawaga waterfall in Fiji. There's a lot of power in there. Look at that. A little swimming pool at the bottom of this one. Beautiful. The hike up is stunning. The surroundings lush. The water powerful. Really, really nice. You could get me up there, I think. Yep. The falls are so spectacular and special to swim beneath. They say it's like something out of a movie going here. It's fairly off the beaten path. There's a nearby village, and there's a house just before you get to the waterfall's entry of this street. And apparently people are very used to the tourists coming up there, and the villagers will charge you to get access to the waterfall. They say that's a strenuous walk, but not without danger, steep and slippery. If there are tropical rains ahead of this, it can be a little rough, but it sure is beautiful. This next one is called the Savulele waterfall. And this one looks like something you would see at the open to, what was that show? Fantasy Island? De plane. Yeah, this is super pretty. I have to show you this picture of this waterfall. Absolute paradise. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. It's like a pool with a waterfall coming out of it. Yeah. Again, it's called the Savulele waterfall. Sorry, I'm not up on my Fijian, but the waterfall is about, it's rough. There's signage that you can get to. You have to park and then walk for a while until you get to this area. They do ask you for payment. Someone will walk right up to you and ask you to pay them. They say it's $50 a person to go see this waterfall. No one takes any credit cards there. So it can be, they can rip you off sometimes if you're in this area. But if you do manage to make it to Savulele, three layers, le, it can be amazing. It's a tropical adventure, a beautiful hike, and a great place to spend a chill day. Savu, three layers, le. Really pretty. What about this one? It looks kind of little, but beautiful. This one is called Nadi. Nadi, Nadi, not naughty like you've been a naughty girl, but Nadi, Nadi, said to be one of the best waterfalls in Fiji. And I will say it looks small and perhaps not as impressive as the one you see here, but also perhaps wide. And so maybe it's more impressive in person. But here's what it looks like. It does look like a beautiful setting. I will say that for it. You have to get here through hiking on mountain trails, said to be worth it. And again, you can hire a guide, but at the bottom of this pool, you see here the rocks and the water coming down the rocks and the pool. People are swimming. There's all kinds of swimming going on in this waterfall. So, quite a beautiful place. You hike through the forest to get to this setting. It's a great place for a picnic. All kinds of natural fruits growing around this area. Best to hire a guide before you eat anything there, but it looks really fun. And the last one I will tell you about is a specific trek tour. They're called Terra Trek Tours, and they will take you around to these waterfalls. Apparently, very helpful to make your waterfall trip fun in Fiji. Perhaps they can help you get around all these people asking you for money, walking up and saying, hey, you need to pay a tourist fee to like some random person. That's so weird. I don't doubt that it happens though. Here are the people on the Terra Trek. They'll take you around to the waterfalls and show you right where to go. I think that's the way to do it. That's Terra Trek in Fiji. So we have some beautiful waterfalls in Fiji to check out today. You can see the rainbow right in the middle of that one. So beautiful. Yeah. Spectacular. Looking at pictures of waterfalls now. Hopefully you relaxed just a little bit. I think I can squeeze one more story in. How about we talk about this guy? He is the apple snail. And he has the capability, I say he, even though it could be a she, I don't know what gender this apple snail is. They have, the apple snail, the capacity to regrow their eyeballs. What? And apparently, human eyes and genes are very similar to those of the apple snail. We can't regrow our eyes, but they can regrow theirs. Yeah. They have eyes that are anatomically similar to humans. Both species have these complex camera like eyes with a lens and a cornea and a retina. But unlike us, apple snails can regrow their eyeballs if they get injured or amputated. They have developed these unusual tools to alter its genome. And the hope is that maybe we could tamper with our genes to add this to our roundup. The findings are in a study published August 6th in the journal Nature Communications. Researchers say this regeneration of the eyeballs is not a magic trick, it's a process encoded by genes, which means that one day the ability to recover from injury could be fundamentally improved for everyone. This is so interesting. The work done by biologists at the Stowers Institute for Medical Research. These apple snails in the United States, in much of the United States, are considered an invasive species. They're about 2 to 3 inches long. They're native to South America, Brazil, Argentina, think that zone. They have made it to North America and Europe and Asia through the aquarium trade and then accidental exposure. They can be a threat to the local ecosystem. In Texas, they say the snail damage in uncontrolled fields can be as high as 100% for rice seedlings that are in the germination stage. But the same traits that make them an invasive species also make them excellent laboratory animals, sadly. Biologists at UC Davis say these are resilient, they grow quickly, they reproduce abundantly, they have direct development without a larval phase or metamorphosis. And so they have a really good life cycle for experimental work. So sadly, the apple snail is is a favorite for lab medical researchers. In this case, they looked at a gene known to play a crucial role in vertebrate and fruit fly development. It's called PAX6. It's also present in apple snails. And with the advent of CRISPR technology, researchers say they can manipulate genes in this species, disrupting the PAX6 gene, an essential regulator in the eye development and regeneration. If an apple snail loses its eye, it takes 28 days to regrow a new one. From the initial amputation to full restoration. I don't even want to think of them plucking the eyeballs out of these things to watch it regrow. But the process includes 4 separate stages: wound healing, formation of a special cell mass, the emergence of a lens and retina, and then the maturation of all eye components. All we can do is perform the first wound healing stage. So researchers are looking to see exactly where at that regeneration and development divergence, what's going on there? And can we pinpoint the genetic switch that the snails are using to trigger new eye development? So they use CRISPR gene editing to disrupt the gene function, and the new line of snails created with the edited genes, they were healthy, but they had missing eyes. That's how they knew it was PAX6. During each stage of eye regeneration, the team collected and analyzed gene activity present, helping narrow down which genes are likely the most promising for eye regeneration. And with the list of candidate genes for eye regeneration, the team then can further use CRISPR, they say, to disrupt the genes and see if those are the ones required for an eyeball to regenerate. Interesting. I mean, if they can, if our eyes are so similar to this apple snail, and they could allow humans to regrow eyeballs, it would be really amazing for people. It doesn't mean that I don't feel bad for the apple snails. Well, I don't want to end on a bad note. So, how about we end with this wacky story about a Elaine dance from Seinfeld. It is, and I hope I don't get dinged for showing you this, but it is a video. The Brooklyn Cyclones, a minor league baseball team based in New York, had their annual Seinfeld night promotion, and they do this Elaine dance, which really looks like so much fun. Have you ever tried to dance like Elaine? I have to take away the apple snail. Sayonara, little eyeball guy. The Elaine dance, she has that kind of herky jerky dance. Check it out. They are having so much fun. Here it is, the Elaine dance. I'll have to take off the sound. Look at all those Elaines coming out for the dancing. There they go. And it's the kick and the jerky movements. Yeah, they had a really good time. And perhaps setting a record almost. Yeah, they completed this contest at this minor league baseball game for the Elaine dance, like a full body heave set to music. Again, this was in New York for the Seinfeld night promotion, which they've done since 2014. And this year they did the contest to copy the dance performed by Julia Louis-Dreyfus in season 8, specifically in an episode called Little Kicks. Dancers of all ages, dressed up in their best Elaine dress, tried to do the dance. George Costanza, Jason Alexander's character, described it as a full-body dry heave set to music. They also, for attending this game, got a limited edition Kramer bobblehead. So that's kind of fun. A fun night doing goofy stuff like this. Again, the team is the Brooklyn Cyclones. This is the winner of the Elaine dance. So, yeah, the Elaine dance steals the show. And with that, we end it. Thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate you. I'll take the Elaine dancing away. I do want to thank Luis, who pops in with a $5 contribution to this show. Kim, so appreciate you being the pipili, the glue that holds our virtual ohana together. Mahalo, my friend. Mahalo to you, Luis. Thank you so much for that. You know how much I love the Hawaiian references and how much it relaxes me. When you start speaking to me like that, I just think of myself sitting on a beach, hanging out and chatting with you. So thank you for that. Thank you for contributing to the show and for the lovely compliment. A lot of people helping fund this show, crowdfunding the show through PayPal as well. So I do want to thank Mary Zane for the contribution, Carol S., again, Dallas, Wes, Deborah S., thank you very much for the recent contributions to the After Party Live. I hope you have a wonderful day. Tomorrow we have, and thank you, Louise, tomorrow we have a pardon attorney on the Mark Thompson Show. Liz Oyer will join us. It's going to be a really interesting interview, and we promise we will save the planet with Belinda Weymouth and It's the Planet Stupid. That happens tomorrow. But until we meet again, make it the very best day you can, and I'll see you right here back on YouTube. Looking for the closing video? Ha, I found it. All right. Bye, everybody.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
end of time. Oh, here's to the golden moon,
and here's to the silver sea.
but
Mostly here's a toast,
to you and me.
tiny bubbles.
Hear the wine makes me happy. Ooh, makes me feel fine. Tiny bubbles makes me warm all over. With the feeling that I'm gonna love to the end of time.
Oh, please clicky, clicky the like, clicky, subscribe.